Hello students of grade 10. My name is Ms. Neja Bamfield and I will be your Principles of Business tutor for today. Our topic today is Instruments of Payments. The lesson objectives are to explain the term Instruments of Payments, identify instruments of payments, list advantages and disadvantages of payment types, explain what is and the use of documentary credit, and list the types of documentary credits. Instruments of payments. Payment instruments and schemes are an essential part of payment systems. Cards, credit transfers, direct debits, and e-money are non-cash payment instruments with which end users of payment systems transfer funds between accounts at banks or other financial institutions. Providing and using payment instruments generally does not generate systematic risk. However, these instruments should be safe and efficient to maintain confidence in the currency and promote an efficient economy. There are three most basic methods of payments, such as cash, credit, and payment in kind, or what we know as bartering. These three methods are used in basic transactions. For example, one may pay for a candy bar with cash, a credit card, or theoretically speaking, even by trading another candy bar. Payment options are cash, checks, debit cards, credit cards, mobile payments, electronic bank transfers. Note, offering more than one option could help you attract a wider variety of customers and allow your customers to make larger purchases. However, there are advantages, disadvantages, and costs associated with each payment type. Pros and cons of different payment types. Where a business is open and the types of items being sold play an important role in deciding which payment systems to offer customers. If a large portion of online sales are expected, accepting electronic payment will be most efficient. Similarly, if products or services are expensive, customers might not feel comfortable carrying that much cash to the store to make a purchase. Checks, cards, or mobile payment could be the better option. On the other hand, if inexpensive items are being sold from a physical store, customers may prefer to pay with cash. Customers may also expect business owners to accept cash if a shop is open in an area where many people don't have bank accounts, or where card processing networks, the companies that send and verify information when someone makes a purchase with a card, frequently go offline. No matter which payment type or types is or are offered, there will be advantages and disadvantages to each. Let us dive deeper into the pros and cons of the main payment types. Advantages and disadvantages of cash, checks, debit cards, credit cards, mobile payments, electronic bank transfers. Cash. Advantages and disadvantages. One of the most common and easiest forms of payment. Many customers will expect the business to accept cash. No fees are required when accepting cash. Disadvantages. Customers might not want to make large purchases with cash. Storing cash at the business or home or transporting it to the bank can be dangerous. Ensuring the register is stacked with bills to make change can tie up money the business could use for other businesses' purposes. Counting money at the end of the cash day or each business transaction day is time consuming. Checks, advantages and disadvantages. Advantages may lead customers to make more frequent or large purchases. It allows customers to safely make large purchases. Little cash is kept at the store. No fees are required to be paid when accepting checks. Disadvantages. After depositing a check, the business or the one who is in receipt of the check must wait for the bank to process the check and put the money in its or their account. There's a risk that someone will try to pay with a fake check or that a check will bounce if the customer doesn't have enough money and the business won't receive the payment. Debit, credit, and prepaid cards. Advantages and disadvantages. Advantages. Customers may make frequent or large purchases. It allows customers to safely make large purchases. Can be quicker and more convenient for customers at checkout than cash or checks. Little to no cash is kept in the store. Little to no worry about bad checks or fake cash. It allows foreign travelers to make purchases easily. The disadvantages. Time is spent waiting for the transactions to process before getting money in one's account. This usually takes between 1 and 3 business days. You may have to pay transaction fees, a small percentage of the transaction, that is. Debit cards generally have lower fees. You will need to purchase or rent a device to accept payment. Call a point-of-sale device. You may be responsible if a customer uses a fake or stolen card to make a purchase. If a customer disputes a charge, that is, initiates a charge back, the transaction may be reversed and the payment won't be received. That is, the business will lose its financial gains. Mobile payments. Advantages. Mobile payments may lead to customers making frequent or larger purchases. It allows customers to safely make large purchases. It is reliable, quicker, and more convenient than accepting cash or checks. Little to no cash is kept in the store. No worry about bad checks or fake cash. Mobile payments may be more reliable than card-based transactions in some areas. If items are sold at markets, conferences, or trade shows, the mobile system is transportable. The mobile payments allows foreign travelers to make easy purchases. Disadvantages. The business must wait for the transaction to process before getting money in their account. This usually takes between 1 to 3 business days. In Guyana, it is 3 business days. The business will have to pay transaction fees, which is usually a small percentage of the transaction. The business must purchase or rent a device to accept payment, called a point-of-sale device. This weighs in on expenses occurred. The business is responsible if a customer uses a fake or stolen payment information to make a purchase. If a customer disputes a charge, that is, initiates a chargeback, once again, the transaction may be reversed and the payment will not be received. In other words, the business loses. Electronic bank transfer. Advantages. Large payments are received without paying fees. Customers can safely make large purchases since it is more convenient than issuing or accepting cash or checks. Almost no cash is kept in store and no worrying about bad checks or fake cash, what we call counterfeit money. A good option when selling products or services to other businesses is realized. Disadvantages. Non-business customers may not be comfortable transferring money directly from their account to the business, especially if it's a new business customer or it's a new business they're trying out. The business must wait for the transaction to process before getting money in their account. This type of transaction must first be set up with both banks. Now, let us turn our attention to the concept of documentary credit. The documentary credit is one of the most secure payment methods in international trade, offering the exporter a conditional payment guarantee from the importer's bank. Documentary credits usually require the presentation of certain documents, which must be complied with before payment can be placed. Types of documentary credit. Number 1, the irrevocable or revocable. A written undertaking given by an issuing bank considered as irrevocable. In essence, this means that documentary credits can only be amended or cancelled with the agreement of the beneficiary and, if one is in place, the confirming bank. Number 2, confirmed. Confirmation is a definite undertaking of the confirming bank, in addition to that of the issuing bank, to honor or negotiate a complying presentation. 3, silent confirmation. This is a private arrangement between a bank and a beneficiary, that is the seller, in which the advising bank adds a conditional guarantee of payment to the beneficiary without the knowledge of the issuing bank. Number 4, revolving. In normal circumstances, an amendment is required in order to increase the value of a credit that has already been partially or fully utilized. However, a useful way around this is to utilize a revolving credit, which provides for the value of the credit to be restored. Back-to-back documentary credit. Such credits are commonly used by traders who act as middlemen between the source supplier and the final buyer. In this process, 2 separate credits are issued. 1, a master credit in favor of the middleman, and 2, a back-to-back credit in favor of the source supplier. Number 6, red and green clause. Such credits contain a special clause that allows the seller to draw on the credit prior to shipment of goods and presentation of documents. Historically, this clause was written in red or green ink. Reason, the name red and green clause. Unsecured or clean red clause. This required documents to do not include evidence of goods. Secured or documentary red clause. Advances are made against presentation of warehouse receipts or similar documents, together with sellers undertaking to deliver the bill of lading and or other required documents upon shipment. The green clause. This allows for advance payment but provide for storage of the goods in the name of the bank as security. Number 7, transferable documentary credit. This type of credit allows the seller, first beneficiary, to transfer the credit fully or partially to one or more third parties, second beneficiary. In order for this practice to be effective, the credit must be clearly stated that it is transferable. Any transfers must be made on exactly the same terms and conditions of the credit, including confirmation, if any, with the exception of 1, the amount of the credit, 2, any unit price stated therein, 3, the expiry date, 4, the period for presentation, or 5, the latest shipment date or given period of shipment. Note, any or all of which may be reduced or curtailed. Number 8, standby letter of credit, documentary credit. Standby credits are very similar to demand guarantees, sometimes referred to as bank guarantees. The prime variation being in terminology and practice. While used globally, they are more commonplace in the United States. Such a credit represents a secondary obligation covering default only and provides security against non-performance as opposed to performance, as is the case with a normal documentary credit. Here are the parties who are involved in a documentary credit transaction: the exporter, the importer, advising bank, and issuing bank. Let us look at their various functions. Parties involved in documentary credit transactions: the applicant, the party on whose request the credit is issued, also known as the buyer or importer; issuing bank, the bank that issues a credit at the request of an applicant or on its own behalf; advising bank, the bank that advises the credit at the request of the issuing bank; confirming bank, the bank that adds its confirmation to a credit, in addition to that of the issuing bank, to honor or negotiate a complying presentation; negotiated bank, the bank with which the credit is available, or any bank in the case it is available with any bank; beneficiary, the party in whose favor the credit is issued and normally the provider of the goods, services, or performance, also known as the seller or exporter. In summary, documentary credits, also known as letter of credit, are arrangements by banks for settling international commercial transactions. They provide a form of security for the parties involved. They ensure payment provided that the terms and conditions of the credit have been fulfilled. They also ensure that the means that payment by such method is based on documents only and not on merchandise or services involved or underlying commercial contracts. There are 3 important points to remember. Credits are separate from the contract on which they may be based. In documentary credit, operations of all parties deal only in documents. A documentary credit is a means to facilitate the settlement of international trade transactions. In addition, it should be noted that a documentary credit is not, and I repeat, a documentary credit is not 1, a contract between a buyer and a seller, a guarantee that the seller will receive payment, a guarantee that the buyer will receive the goods he ordered. Now that we've come to the end of today's lesson, my name is Neja Bamfield, and I want to thank you for paying keen attention. Here are 4 questions to be answered in your notebooks. Number 1, define the term documentary credit in your own words. Number 2, identify the documents needed to complete a documentary credit transaction. 3, in no more than 150 words, explain why you may utilize electronic payment over cash payment. And number 4, identify and explain in 30 words each the significant elements or icons on each of the payment type. Thank you once again. It was nice being your tutor for today.